musical.
We're going to talk about rural culture, rural values, and perhaps rural identity. Good morning, my name is Jan Martel. I will be the moderator, and your moderator's main task is to see that we're getting to 12 o'clock. Because we have three excellent guests and talkers, speakers for today, and I would suggest that we go right into it by introducing you Tom de Vries. Tom de Vries has been working for many years for the Southern Agricultural and Horticultural Organization, but he has also set up a series of discussions with farmers of this organization on why are we farming, what is driving us, what is motivating us to keep on in this business. He wrote also some books on the issues. Unfortunately, until today, they are only available in Dutch, but perhaps will this day be a beginning of going to some translation. He wrote also a book with the German philosopher and priest Anselm Grün. Maybe you heard about him. Anselm Grün, I think, is available in English as well, or at least in German, and it may also be a path to some of the ideas as well. But he will tell about his work and perhaps about himself a little bit in the beginning. After that, Sjoerd Wagenaar and LME Eidbroek will talk about their work. I suggest that we listen to the introduction by the speaker first, and then have some time for clarifying questions. But we do the discussion on the floor with all of us after the presentations by our guests. Are you feeling all right? Are you sitting all right? Any questions? Yes? This is a wonderful building, and that makes it up for the fact that we are sitting inside while it's outside such beautiful weather. When we don't have to harvest today, we don't have to care of animals, we can just have time to talk about rural values. Thank you very much. May I give the floor to Tom?
Thank you, Jan, and thank you for being invited here in this very nice place. I'm working, as Jan said, I'm working for a farmers organization in the southern part of the Netherlands. That organization started about 120 years ago, at the end of the 19th century, as a lot of farmers organizations started anywhere in Europe. I'm working there about 15 years, therefore I worked at the university. I'm an anthropologist, and my specialization in anthropology was in two directions: social movement and cooperation, and the other as the social and cultural aspects of rural life in Western Europe. So that's something about my background. I think my story will tell a lot about who I am, and we can have a lot of questions about that afterwards. So I want to speed up. I have a lot of pictures. It's not my intention to have a story by each picture. I tell the headlines of my work and some parts of my work about farmer values, also about values on food. They are very related. And I will tell something about the new image of farming that we have constructed as a ZLTO together with farmers. And I will end with some nice pictures about relationships, activities from artists and farmers. Some small activities they have done together to get the farmers a better representation in the villages they are working in. So that's what I want to do. And first of all is what the word values. I will tell a lot about values. What is values? I think, well, it's the glasses through which you look to the world. And everybody has his own glasses. And it's I think for me it's very important in the relationships with farmers to explore their glasses. What is their vision to the world and to their own existence as a farmer. So in values, it's also about principles of life, which are important for you. Passion, that's what you like to do the best. That's what motivating you or energizing you. And also, values has to do is what is my truth about some questions. And it's always subjective, it's always normative. So that's, for me, the core of values. When we talk about rural life and rural values, after many years of studying and working in rural areas and with farmers, I think for me the concept of the division between rural and urban is very confusing. When I look at geographic or demographic aspects, it's clear. When I look at mentality, or cultural mentality, it's not as clear as it seems to be. When I look at history, the division is clear. But in the years, know farms, I know a lot of farmers who are a little bit, who have a mentality is not an other mentality than people in the city. And the other way around, I know a lot of people in the city. Well, for me, more a farmer's mentality than a lot of farmers I know. So, what is farming? I will come to that point later. But for me, the confusing concepts of divisions between that's urban, that's rural, we have to think about that, because in this world, I think they are connected on very special ways. And let's see. You know, Vincent van Gogh, the painter at the end of the 19th century, he had two images of farming life or rural life. And it's what you want to see. And it was also for him in two different periods. In one period he was more depressed, in the other period he lived in southern France and he was a very friendly and open person. You can see it in his work. And that's why how we look at the same world with different perspectives. And in art you can see that a lot. And I think in the end of the 19th century the rural ideal has been formulated as a kind of criticism on the urbanization and the industrialization that occurred at that time. Writers, painters and other artists, they criticized the changes that were going on. And conservative politicians and religious spokesmen translated this in ideals of agrarianism, you can call it, the image of the good life as a countryside, and the image of the farmer as the prototype of a traditional, as a prototype of a person with traditional values and virtues. And then the modern marketing came in and connected these images with food products, regional identities, focused on consumers and tourism. And this all makes the rural ideal an urban ideal. And I think it disturbs the debates about rural and urban up till today. That's the first point I want to make for discussion. Then about farmer values. Why farmer values? For me, in my relation with a lot of farmers, I think I see a lot of moral blindness. There are a lot of problems: food integrity, animal welfare, all kinds of problems that are combined with, that are related to the modern agribusiness. And it's a lot of farmers that don't have the time to think about it, or they don't want to think about it, or they think it's very hard to get the connection with themselves, with those problems, with those moral problems. And I think farmers need a moral compass. Most farmers, they can talk easily about economics and about technical developments of their farm, but they find it very hard to talk about their inner feelings about farming and what they really want to do. So we had done some research several years ago to the question, what are the inner values of farmers? We have spoken with 30 farmers, all dispersed over the Netherlands, in the northern part and the southern part, gardeners, all kinds of farms, big, small, and it was done by people who are very specialized in looking at the inner side of people, more the spirituality of people, what's inside you, and what's your drive, what's your passion, what's your motivation, and to give an impression. The book is titled "The Farmer in Heart and Soul." It says something about that research. And the 3 questions: why do you want to be a farmer? What's the meaning of farming for yourself, for your family, and for society? And what's your inner drive? That were the 3 main questions. And every farmer we spoke with wants to deliver a good and healthy product. That's the first thing they mentioned. And he wants to care for humans, plants, animals, soil, environment. And they say farmer life is attractive because we have a very rich social life. Family, village, neighbors. And we have a strong we feeling. The cooperative tradition is an agrarian tradition. We have a lot of organizations we are connected with. Other values. As a farmer, we live close to nature. We live outside, in the landscape, we form the landscape. And also we have a special lifestyle. I'm free to do what I want each day. And another point is the spirituality. Farming has to do with the essence of life, with life and death, with the rhythm of the seasons, with the weather. So it's a kind of dependency that is very special for farmers, for farming. And we as a worker in a farmers organization, we don't have that dependencies. When it's raining, I do the same work as when the sun is shining. So it's a kind of idealistic picture of values. But behind these values, there's a world of dreaming, of ideals, and a world of real life, real practice. And a lot of problems for farmers has to do with the gap between them. They want to be a farmer according to these values, but in daily life it's very hard to get there. So they're constantly busy with questions, with dilemmas. How can I get the farmer that I want to be? And we have done we went further with that research and asked 30 farmers and farmer wives to write their own story during a year. The story about their life, their work. Write it down, each season 3 or 4 pages, like that. Make their own pictures. And we have combined that in a book. And it's about the stories of the farmers themselves. And they tell about those dilemmas. They tell us about the stress between their dreams of how they want to be a farmer, and how they are a farmer, and how they can solve those problems, and what their moral compass means in daily life. And you see, it's just a kind of ethnographic study, you can say, that in those stories there are storylines, and behind those storylines there are different clusters of values. For the one, it's more the economic orientation is dominant, and for the other, a more spirituality of being a farmer. And then, especially farmer wives, more on social aspects and family and children and the nice neighborhood for children to grow up and that kind of thing. And some of them, some farmers are just very proud on their farm. It's an old building, it's a tradition, it's a cultural heritage they are proud of. So different stories, completely different. So that's, for me, it's the starting point of a lot of discussions with farmers, but also with citizens, and in the combination of those two, to get to the point from what's the meaning of farming for you, what's the meaning, what do you think farming can mean for you, for the citizens, and have a dialogue between them. Very easy talks with 10 persons, 15 persons, in cities, in local areas, to get these questions on the table. We have went further with some research or some, to put it further to the theme of food. Because in every discussion with farmers and citizens, food was the main item. So we thought, what are the values of food? How can you get a discussion on food that is more oriented towards the daily life and not about the big, huge problems? So we had a kind of method. We let them buy some food they needed for a daily meal and put it in the middle of the people and say, what's the story behind that food, your behavior, your buying behavior, your eating behavior, and what are the different values, the different backgrounds from the choices you have made in eating, in buying food. And the second question, which world problems are on your plate each day? Because everybody has to eat each day. And we had breakfast, and we look at the breakfast from this morning, and you ask several questions about where does it come from, who has produced the ingredients, do I know the ingredients, and all kinds of questions. And we have an image of the food system we are supporting, sometimes conscious, but often unconscious. So we had an example for a session with students, and these are the values they are combining with their daily meal they have bought. It's about homegrown and local, about rituals and culture, about the footprint, about the gratitude for food, all aspects you can talk about just around your daily meal, around what you have eaten today, or what you are buying in the shop. And then you can go further. Is there some clustering of values? You have people who are more accent to health or security. The other one is more focused on animal health, and the other climate problems, environment, and so on. So you have a kind of discussion started with daily practices, and then you go to the bigger global discussions about food systems and food movements. There's a lot of things to do about that worldwide, but you have a world problem on your plate. You can talk about that. And what are the questions you see here? Well, I can ask you. It's about protein. It's a world question. It's about resources, water, energy to make 1 kilo of meat. It's about health. It's about ownership of land. forests. Soya, tropical forests. Name it, it's on your plate. And this one, thanks to Stuart. He sent me this a few days ago. This is a shop. You've seen it?
Yeah.
In a German supermarket. And the boss of the supermarket said, well, let's throw out all the products who foreign laborers have worked on it in the field or in the logistics or in the processes. Well, that's left over. So it's also the connection from your plate to the world problems. We are connected with all those things, and we are not aware of it. So the discussions about food, let's take them back to the daily life. Well, this is another question of it. It's more about different perspectives in talking about farming, but you can tell the same story in talking about rural life. It's about dairy farming, it's about different value frames. You have to know if you are going to discuss things on farming or things on rural issues. This one. My friends think I have an easy job outside, peace, quiet, in fresh air. And this one, my neighbors, they're always telling about manure, about smell, when they talk about me. Society, well, they think I earn a lot of money. That's their story. Animal rights people, well, it's clear what they think. What I think I do, I'm dreaming of having a big tractor. But in real life, I'm hugging my cows. So, different perspectives on one and the same issue. And I think the value orientation is important to get those different pictures in mind, because that makes discussions and debates very easy. More easier. This is, I would say, the new strategy of my organization, 0P2A. And it's not, I'm not saying that all the members of 0P2A, the 12,000 farmers, they all agree with this. But now it's the official strategy, official vision on farmer life from my organization. And that means that future farm is food and so much more. That's also to do with energy, with nature, with recreation, with care. All kind of a combination of different societal functions. So that means the image of farming is not just the farmer who's working on the land, no, it's the farmer who delivers services also to society. And it's another way of thinking about farming. And we say, and it's very actual, we are still busy with the discussion on this one. We say, let's start with a positive view, with a positive image, or slogan, whatever. Farmers have a solution. Of course, farmers cause problems, but let's talk about the solutions they can give to all kinds of societal problems, health, food, and so on. We said, well, let's organize our activities as an organization around 3 fields. It's about climate, improvement of soil, water improvement, about food safety and health, all kinds of programs around that theme, and the third one, rural development. And one of the main issues in my organization is stables in different places, because farmers stop their farm. And what do they have to do with their stables? Can we do something that is of relevance for the village, for the region, and for the farmer? And we say now we have so much attention for the buildings that we have forgotten a little bit the persons, the human beings behind those buildings. So we have now a program more socially motivated. How can we give that farms a new life? They have a lot of experiences as an entrepreneur. Can they use it elsewhere? And do they want that? So we guide them in helping to find their own qualities for another life and for other labor. So that's all about farms as a solution, and it gives a lot of discussion with our members. But it's another way of putting the relevance of farming in this society. And it's two directions. It's a future farming, healthy living, but this one, smart farming, social farming. Smart farming, it's you can see it worldwide. It's more techniques. It's more biological oriented, connecting technology and design. And the other one is small social farming. That's more oriented towards connections between the farming and society. And they are not excluding each other. They are combined. But when we talk about a farm who has also some care functions or some recreational functions, the connections with the local society are very, very important. And you have also some big farms with GPS and other things and a lot of hectares and arable land. And also the connection with the environment is important, but they have another orientation toward techniques. And so we see that's two different directions, but in the end, we see agroecology as a future strategy, and it's worldwide. It's a picture of one of the leading thinkers about the world food development, Olivier de Schutters, a Belgian man, and he said, well, all over the world, the next years we go to a more diversified agricultural farming. And when you come from more subsistence farming, think of Africa or Asia or whatever, you go in that direction. But also when you have an industrial agriculture, as in this neighborhood, you go also in that direction. Relocalize, reconnecting, reduce chemical inputs. It's also for every farm, big, small, everywhere. That's one of the main things for the future. Diversify. Probably it's in climate change and all those risks we hear every day about. Diversify of farming. It's very important for just the small ones, but also for the bigger ones. So I believe in this direction. So from that farm I have a solution, and the farm as a prototype, so you can say. Let's look at the history of how have been farms positioned, and you can go back to the Greeks and tell farming in essence it's about caring, it's about keeping, cultivating. That's the essence. And when you translate those words and those images to today, and you think about farming from those perspectives, you can say, well, it's not. It's more an archetype you can use. And we wrote that books together with Ansel Gruen and with Hein, and we focused on the archetype of farming. And what can we learn in this society from the farmer and the essence of farming in working with the land, caring for animals, caring for the environment. And our conclusion is we can, as modern citizens, modern society, we can learn a lot from farm's wisdom, or you can also say we can learn a lot, and we have a lot forgotten about agriculture. So, and there is a biological farmer in the Netherlands that wrote this book, a small book, probably. Maybe I and he wrote about the way he is farming, and he translated it to you can say workshops